Good evening. Welcome to the Kent City Council meeting for Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. If you could all rise and join me in the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Kim, could you please call the roll?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mayor Ralph.
Here.
Council President Boyce.
Here.
Councilmember Fincher.
Here.
Councilmember Kaur.
Here.
Councilmember Larmer.
Here.
Councilmember Michaud.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Troutner.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. The next item is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda from council or staff?
Thank you, Mayor. We do have a change to the agenda. We're going to add an executive session to item 11 to discuss a complaint against a public officer and potential litigation.
Approximate
Time is 25 minutes.
Okay. And there will be no action following that executive
Correct.
session.
No action. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to public communications. I have to say, I feel a little bit like I'm back in high school. Everybody's sitting at the back of the room. There's lots of empty chairs up here.
That is strange.
Grateful that everyone's here tonight, but just had that observation. We have some great recognition this evening, several proclamations and some honoring of employees. So I'm going to start with our Employee of the Month. Each month here at the City of Kent, our employees get together and they have the opportunity to nominate one of their coworkers as Employee of the Month in recognition of the work that they do, whether it be just in how they represent the city's mission, vision, values, and goals on a daily basis or a special project. It's always special because these nominations and awards come from peers. So tonight it is my pleasure to announce our June 2022 Employee of the Month, and it's Dan McLaughlin. Dan, there'll be a little bit of a round of applause there. Dan was first hired by the city on April 8th, 2014 as a Parks Maintenance Assistant temporary employee. This temporary assignment ended on November 29th, 2014, and on January 17th of 2017, he was rehired into a full-time position of custodian in the Facilities Division of the Parks and Recreation and Community Services Department. Dan was nominated because he consistently displays the mission and values of Kent daily. There is no project that Dan won't take on, and he is indispensable as a resource for everyone on his entire team. Even when the task is highly confusing, you can count on Dan to do the research and find the best way to accomplish the project goals while delivering constant quality. His work at the Senior Center the past years has really allowed his qualities to shine through. The quality of work he gives to the building is unmatched, and he is always so mindful regarding customer service and making sure that the seniors and employees alike have the best possible experience at our facility. And that's a glowing statement about the work ethic and the dedication Dan brings to his job here at the city. Dan continuously embraces our values, and we celebrate him as June's Employee of the Month. And I want to say congratulations to Dan and ask Tyler Busick if he wants to come up and say a few words.
I will. Got to be prepared. All right, thank you. My name is Tyler Busick. I'm the Facility Services Supervisor, and so I'm Dan's boss, and he's awesome. So I've had the pleasure of getting to know Dan and to work with him over these past years, and I must say this recognition is truly deserved. Dan is an incredibly hard worker, a versatile team player, and above all, he's kind. It's great to see someone from our crew receive this honor, and we're all very proud. So, thank you.
Thank you. I love both of those words, that Dan is awesome and he's kind, right? I think that just speaks volumes, so congratulations.
Thank you.
So, did you want to come up and say a few words? You don't have to. I never want to put anybody on the spot, but I always want to give the opportunity, so.
Yes, I'm just glad to have the opportunity to work with all the people at the City of Kent. I've had a lot of different jobs, and I think I've got a lot of help and from all the people here, and they're very nice. So, thank you.
Nice. Thank you. All right. Next, we're going to move on to an appointment to the King County Landmarks and Heritage Commission. So, Council, tonight I am bringing forward a request for confirmation for Linda Martinez to be our King County Landmarks and Heritage Commissioner. This is not an appointment that we do very often. So, Kayleen Nobis is going to come up and give a little bit of background on what the position is, what it does, and just want to say very, very grateful for Linda's willingness to step up and take this on.
Definitely. So I'm Kayleen Nobis again, the Senior Long Range Planner in ECD. And so I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on it's the King County Landmarks and Heritage Commission, which might be new to some of you or just reacquainting you with it. But essentially, the City of Kent, when we established our landmarks code, we decided to use and adopt the King County Landmarks Commission to act on our behalf. So that was established. The King County Landmarks Commission was established in 1980, and we did that in 2006. But we didn't designate a historic neighborhood until 2014. So in 2014 is when we designated the Mill Creek Historic District. And what happens when someone wants to do anything in the Mill Creek Historic District to their building, either reface it or renovate it or anything, is that they go to the Landmark Commission and get a certificate of appropriateness. And in order to make sure that Kent is well represented on that commission, since we have a community there, we have a special member is what's called. So their commission is made up of 9 people, and our Kent special member only serves when something comes up in the Mill Creek Historic District. So they'll call up Linda Martinez, if we confirm her tonight, to do that, in which she has an excellent amount of skills to be able to help us navigate the waters of a certificate of appropriateness for historic designation. So that's just one of the few things, in addition to if there's any potential new landmark designations, if that ever comes across in the future. So there's not too much else to the King County Landmarks Commission, so that's about it. But if you have any questions, I can answer those for you, and I'm sure Mayor will tell you more wonderful things about Linda when we interviewed her. So,
thank you, Kayleen. Any questions from council? Yeah. Okay. What I am going to tell you about Linda is that she is a longtime resident of Kent, very dedicated to our historical society, which feels like it fits very well, and lives in a historical house in our community. So understands both the challenges and benefits of living in a historical home. So I feel like it really will help guide those conversations for folks in the Mill Creek neighborhood. So hoping that council will confirm on the consent agenda, and just want to say thank you so much, Linda, for your willingness to step up and be a part of the process. All right. We are going to move on. We've got 3 proclamations this evening. The first proclamation I actually presented on Friday. We held an event here. Kent was the host for National Gun Violence Awareness Day out in the courtyard. And King County came, there were some speakers, and they passed out gun lock boxes as a way to provide community safety and education around gun violence. So I'm going to read this proclamation again. I don't have anyone here to accept tonight because we did present it last Friday at the event. So whereas every day more than 110 Americans are killed by the use of a gun, alongside more than 200 who are shot and wounded, and whereas Washington has an average of 810 gun deaths every year with a rate of 10.5 deaths per 100,000 people, and whereas according to 2021 Public Health Report on Gun Violence among youth and young adults, the use of firearms is a leading cause of homicide deaths among youth and young adults in King County. And whereas cities across the nation, including Kent, are working with local agencies to implement strategies to reduce firearm-related homicide and violence and ensure all young people are healthy, hopeful, safe, and thriving. And whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories. And whereas on June 3rd, which is recognized as National Gun Violence Awareness Day, Public Health, Seattle and King County Zero Youth Detention Team and community partners will launch their Safer Summer strategy, and the Regional Peacekeepers Collective and the Seattle Community Safety Initiative partners will raise awareness, conduct gun safety activities, and provide education and resources to community residents in Seattle, Skyway, and Kent. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce the use of guns with violent intent and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our community and our children safe. So that is in a proclamation regarding National Gun Violence Awareness Day. We know we're coming into summer and violence increases. King County, we are working in partnership with them to provide the education and resources in an effort to reduce that violence. So, all right. I'm going to take these out of order because I don't see Kent Downtown Partnership here for the next one, and I want to give them a little bit of time if they're still coming. So we are going to move to item 5, which is the proclamation for LGBTQ Pride Month. I do want to start by recognizing Councilmember Kaur and Councilmember Larmer, along with our friends from Utopia who raised the pride flag in our courtyard at the beginning of the month. And this is a proclamation celebrating Pride Month. Whereas the month of June was designated Pride Month to honor the Stonewall riots and is generally recognized as the catalyst of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual, or LGBTQ+ rights movement. And whereas LGBTQ+ residents, students, city employees, and business owners within the city of Kent contribute to the enrichment of our city. And whereas Washington State and King County have led the nation in protecting the civil rights of our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer neighbors, coworkers, friends, and family members, as well as provide allyship. And whereas while future progress is needed, it is important to recognize and celebrate the substantial gains that have been achieved. And whereas the City of Kent, in partnership and communication with residents, businesses, and schools, is dedicated to building an inclusive city with opportunities for all. And whereas LGBTQ+ residents contribute to the cultural fabric of our community and donate their time, talent, labor, and financial resources to various community organizations. Now, therefore, I, Dana Ralph, Mayor of Kent, do hereby proclaim June 2022 LGBTQ Pride Month in Kent, Washington, and the City of the City of Kent Council and Mayor invites everyone to reflect on the ways we can all live and work together with a commitment to mutual respect and understanding, and to join us in this special observance and recognize the numerous contributions of the LGBTQ+ individuals in the City of Kent. And I'm going to ask Taffy Johnson to come up and accept the proclamation. And encourage everyone to check out our People of Kent because Taffy was featured this last week. So there you go. Thank you. There we go. Thank you. Okay, I will go ahead and do the Main Street proclamation. This is in honor of our Kent Downtown Partnership. So, whereas downtowns and Main Street are the birthplace and the heart of our communities across Washington State and are a testament to the resilience of our small businesses, and whereas designated Washington Main Street districts represent the second largest private sector employers in the state, supporting over 65,000 jobs in nearly 7,000 businesses, generating nearly $10 billion in revenue annually. And whereas Washington State's 36 designated Main Street communities have led revitalization efforts that include over 380,000 volunteer hours, leveraged over 3,000 events hosted, and an economic impact of nearly $900 million since 2011. And whereas Main Street communities delivered a broad range of much-needed pandemic-related resources and services to downtown businesses, supporting Main Street businesses in their effort to be resilient through the pandemic and aiding in recovery. And whereas Main Street organizations, including Kent Downtown Partnership, provided 1,118 small businesses with direct technical assistance and 3,610 businesses with information and education. And whereas the City of Kent supports and joins in the statewide effort to help Washington's Main Street businesses to do the best, create jobs, and ensure that our communities remain vibrant as vibrant tomorrow as they are today. Now, therefore, I, Dana Ralph, Mayor of Kent, do hereby proclaim June 6th through 12th, 2022, to be Main Street Week in Kent, Washington, and call upon our residents to join in this special observance by supporting and celebrating our Main Street businesses. So our Kent Downtown Partnership works with all of our downtown businesses. This coming Friday, there is a wine walk, so I encourage you to check it out, get tickets, and it's a great way to kind of just hang out, socialize with your friends, and maybe visit businesses that you have not been in before in our downtown core. So really grateful for the work that the KDP does on a daily basis for our downtown businesses. All right, that brings us to the end of the official recognition. I do want to move on to community events, and before I pass it over to Council President Boyce, I want to talk a little bit about Juneteenth, which is coming up the following weekend. The City of Kent will be raising the Juneteenth flag next week, and Kent Black Action Commission will be hosting their annual event up at Morrill Meadows Park on Saturday. Want to encourage everyone to check that out. Great opportunity to learn about what Juneteenth means and represents, and like I said, I encourage everyone to attend. We will be presenting a proclamation at that flag raising, and I'll follow that up at the next council meeting. So I wanted to make sure that we put that on everyone's calendars. With that, I'm going to look to Council President Boyce to talk to us about, our local hockey team and all the things that are happening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's a lot of things going on in Kent in the month of June. So our Kent Thunderbirds, right, are playing tonight. And this year is Game 3. The series tied 1-1. So Game 3 tonight, they're playing as we speak now. Yeah, and then Game 4 tomorrow. So we like to wish them well and like to see them bring the trophy home. So we can't go tonight, but hopefully you can go tomorrow and cheer them on. I think it's also televised as well, too. So go Thunderbirds. Kent International Festival. This is to be the 14th year of the Kent International Festival. Great event, lots of fun, lots of culture going on that you learn about, lots of good food, lots of dancing. So that's also happened on Saturday, June the 18th. So June 18th will be a busy day. So if you've never attended one of the events, I strongly, highly encourage you to do so because a lot of fun. I think it starts early in the morning and it goes to late at night. So good event. Please try to attend. In addition to that, we have the Exley debut, of the Cecil Showwear Center of the Seattle Thunder and the Denver Rush, and that's on Saturday, June 25th. The playoff also be held on the Saturday, August the 27th. Tickets are available now. We also have a gut check wrestling tournament. That's on June 27th and 28th. And then we got a showwear shootout, 3-on-3 basketball. That's always a big event in Kent. It's outside here at the Showwear Center, so lots of kids, adults of all age. So 3-on-3, and that's Saturday, July the 9th. And then also we have a car show, a Ford and Mustang roundup on Saturday, August the 21st. And then on October the 10th, we have the Lamb of God Omens Tour, and that's Monday, October the 10th. Ticket goes on sale on Friday at 10 a.m. And then we got the World Tour Saturday, October 15th. I think it's Glory Travel Divino World Tour, and that's on Saturday, October the 15th. So a lot of stuff going on in Kent, so please let's get out there and be part of the happiness going on in Kent. So thank you, and that ends my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tomorrow, 6:30 to 8 p.m., right across the parking lot at the Centennial Building, we have this Kent Summer Art Exhibit. So meet the artist, enjoy some entertainment, see wonderful art, and it's all free right across at the Centennial Building here on the City Hall campus. City Hall campus, that's it.
All right, thank you. Any other community events? Okay. We will move on to the reports section of our agenda this evening. Opportunity to hear from everyone seated up at the dais about the work that they are doing outside of committee and regular council meetings. Kent is very well represented around the region, and that brings a variety of opportunities to direct funding, make sure that Kent is part of those regional decisions that truly do impact things that are happening here in our city every single day. I am going to start with a couple of local events and thank yous, and then move into some of the regional things. I want to start with a big thank you to the West Hill Cambridge neighborhood. They held their first in-person neighborhood council meeting a couple of weeks ago. Several of us from the city attended that event, and it was wonderful to see the neighbors back out and talking about things that were going on, problem solving. I will tell you, our Public Works Director, Chad Beeren, was the hit of that party, had lots of questions for him around streets, traffic, that kind of thing, and did a fabulous job addressing the neighborhood. But we are excited to be bringing that neighborhood council program back to life after the last 2 years. So if any of our neighborhoods are interested, I strongly suggest that you reach out to our new neighborhood external communications coordinator, Tracy Taylor at ttaylor@kentwa.gov. Also want to give a shout out to a couple of Kent Meridian Go Royals graduates. Last week, Councilmember Fincher and I had the honor of attending a ribbon cutting for a new rain garden that's been installed up at Kent Meridian. So those of you that go way back, think about where the theater was there, and it's that building that is now classrooms and an auditorium. Alongside of that is a brand new rain garden. And two students, Risa and Alicia, several years ago, pre-pandemic, applied for a series of grants to build this garden. And they were successful in that process. It's been an amazing educational opportunity for the environmental club and the school, and a lasting legacy to talk about things like water filtration and the environment, stormwater runoff, all of those kind of things. And it was great to see their commitment to the process. They are graduated, both of them at university now, but committed to seeing the project through. So fabulous event, and want to say thank you and congratulations to both Risa and Alicia. The last local update last week as well, Council President Boyce and I were honored to host a representative from the city of Lutsk in the Ukraine. He was here on a variety of business on a business trip for several different reasons, and we were able to meet with him and then have a Zoom call with the mayor of the city of Lutsk in the Ukraine to talk about our intent to form a sister city relationship. So there's a process in formalizing that sister city relationship that will include our sister cities committee and those kinds of things. But we signed an agreement to agree to explore that. So going back probably 3 decades, our Ukrainian population was one of our very first immigrant populations here in Kent. And it is one of our largest immigrant populations to this day. So the city of Kent used to have a sister city relationship with a Kerason in the Ukraine, which is what our park across the street is named after. And that relationship has dissolved. Prior to the war starting, we were in conversation with the Honorary Consul General of Ukraine about establishing this relationship. The mayor was going to be making a trip over here, but as you can imagine, given the grave circumstances that are happening, was unable to make that trip. So we took the opportunity to visit with the council member, Roman Kravchuk, last week and start this process. So we signed those agreements. You can see, for those of you that are in the room, the flag that was presented to us, and we will keep you all posted as we go through the process. Council will have an opportunity to weigh in, as will the Sister Cities conversation. I will tell you, it feels like the right thing for us to do to show support to our Ukrainian friends and neighbors, especially during this time, and to honor a community that has had a long, rich history here in Kent. So excited to start that process and celebrate that. Final two regional updates. Last week was our South King County Housing and Homelessness Partnership meeting. I was re-elected vice chair. Mayor Nancy Backus chairs that group. I am very excited to say that we approved the capital funding guidelines, and we've opened up for the first round of funding through SCIP. So it's well over $1 million in this round. Council will be receiving a presentation from SCIP in upcoming month or two to give you an update on where everything's at. But this is a huge step for an organization that started out really more about information sharing and partnership. To have a capital fund available it's pretty significant. So we're excited about that opportunity, knowing that the money funding will be combined with other sources to have some great projects here in South King County. Final update is Puget Sound Regional Council had its annual meeting at the end of May. You've heard me talk a lot about the transportation master plan for the regional transportation plan. That was passed and implemented. We had a lot to say in that conversation, and I really do think that Kent's list of projects and goals for transportation in the region are well represented in that plan. So that was a much longer report than normal. I apologize for that. I am going to look to my right to Council President. Oh, we're going to start with, sorry, Pat.
All far right.
All the way down to the end, our Interim Chief Administrative Officer, Pat Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple of things, quick updates. So the position for this job went live on the 31st. It's going to be open until the first week in July. And we can anticipate 3 or 4 months before we have the position filled, so you're stuck with me. I apologize for that. Oh, man. I know. The second thing is today the city, Kent's Emergency Management, opened the ECC for just a test run to reacquaint staff with the emergency management process. As you recall, when COVID started, we opened the ECC, and it was operational for quite a while. But it hasn't really been operational, and there's been a pause in practice with COVID. So we reopened it today and try to reacquaint staff with the ECC so that when maybe an earthquake or something else hits, some more sudden and quick emergency, staff will be ready. And it's really impressive what emergency management has set up. And so you can be assured that the city is ready and will be able to address emergencies. Otherwise, the CAO report is in the council packet, and that's all I have. Thanks.
All right, Council President Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Pat, you're doing a wonderful job. There's very few people is plug and play. So we are very happy to have you. So you're doing an awesome job.
I will second that.
Yes. So between operation and public safety, we had a great presentation on race and equity. I just want to kind of read our goal and make sure we're all on the same page. The City of Kent is committed to provide a cultural relevant service and information in multiple language. Our equitable representation in the City of Kent recruits and retain a talented workforce that is increasingly reflective of the community that we serve across all positions, from the frontline staff, advisory board, commission, and executive leadership. So, great presentation tonight. We talked about mainly around the action item around the in-language resources. So I'm just going to read the indicators, and there are performance measurement for each one of those. I'm not going to read those. Increased knowledge and language access resource by residents. That's a residential survey we'll be doing. Identify top community language for translation for vital documents. Top language spoken in Kent covered by contractors. Resident satisfaction language access resources, and that's another resident survey. Multiple application for multilingual candidates, employee awareness of multilingual insanity, and numbers of CBO partners within the city. So there's performance and measurement with each one of these here. I think from where we start, a year or so ago to where we at, I think we're making great progress, and Uriel is doing a good job of leading us through this process. So kudos to him and his team, which I think is just him himself, right? So, but kudos to him. We also, HR is doing a comparable survey, salary market survey, I guess you could say. We want to make sure that our people here in Kent, and as far as, how they get paid, we're looking at the market around in South King County. So we will be doing a survey here sometime in July to make sure that, to look at the data and make sure that our people are compensated compared to the work they're doing and their peers in the area. We also, we looked at our monthly finance report, looking pretty good. No real indicators that we need to be concerned about. Sales tax is up, REIT is up, so that's a pretty good thing. We also talked about the operation and maintenance for inspecting all our storm system. Great presentation, mainly go out, look for structural damage, sedimentation buildup, drainage, and also they monitor and they do assessment. So great job by the team. We also had another presentation in our workshop on stormwater update and discharge system. I think the council all was really pleased with that presentation. That really made Chad look good. So great presentation here. But some of the things they're doing around stormwater cleanup, they are doing a public education and outreach program, which I thought was pretty neat. They also had an example about being out there and make sure you pick up after your dogs so you won't get nothing on your feet, so clean up behind yourself. And it's all about water for kids, so just how to go about updating the kids. They got a social marketing program going on. They're talking about behavior changes. For some reason, this sounded good for me. I don't know why, but dumpster juice, right? I don't know why that sounded good, but make sure you keep your dumpster closed so the water won't get in and drain out and go down to storm water. Getting public involvement for the adopting the street, control runoff, inspection best practice, and also fuel or spill theft when somebody's stealing gas out the car. Sometimes they let the gas continue to go and it goes into the drainage, and then just wasted water. So really a great presentation. You think about the city and, there's so much that goes on to make a city really operate, and I think we were always really impressed. And I think Tony or Marley, one of you made a presentation about bringing different people here and just talk about and have them present and talk about the work, and you can tell that they're very passionate about the work they do. So it was a great presentation. So please, yeah, we won't get into, and also, never mind, we won't talk about that. All right. And the last one we have our SCA meeting tomorrow, and this will be Deanna Dawson, who's been a phenomenal executive director and going to be highly missed. So we'll be having our last meeting with her tomorrow, and not looking forward to her leaving, but we wish her nothing but the best, and we'll still be interacting with her in a new role, and we're in the process of opening that position up and trying to find a replacement for her. So, but we'll have a Sound City Association PIC meeting will be tomorrow. And that's all I have. So I'm going to start here to my far left, and Councilmember Michaud.
Thank you, Council President. I also have a long report. All right. First off, I serve on the Regional Law, Safety, and Justice Committee. We had a presentation on the Regional Peacekeepers Collective Strategy, which Kent is a part of. It's a public health approach to dealing with gun violence that focuses on intervention, prevention, and restabilization. And it offers things like client service managers, hospital interventionists, family support specialists, and violence interrupters. And they're going to have a Safe Summer campaign focused on education about gun violence, and then they're also doing gun lockbox giveaways, which like we had in Kent on Friday. And then our next meeting will be at the end of July, and I will pretend to be an expert on the police community immersion program. Hopefully the chief will be there to critique my performance. All right, I also serve as the chair of the Parks and Human Services Committee, and we got another update on the Parks and Open Space Plan. If you missed that, we will also have one on Monday at ECDC. And we had a update from Terry Youngman about the Kerason Park redevelopment, which we'll see later. And then two more things that are in the consent calendar: the agreement with the T-Mobile lease agreement for cell phone tower that's over on the Centennial Building, and then a cooperative purchasing agreement. Also, I serve on the Human Services Commission, and right now we are on the grant decision process. So we had about 112 applications, and staff divided those into 4 groups by type. And then there's 4 groups, and the commissioners got divided into those groups, and each of us have about 20 to 25 applications to go through. So we'll go through those, and then on next Thursday, we will go through as a group and come to a decision on who should be funded. So we're looking forward to that. Any commissioners watching, we have until Monday to get through those, so get those in. All right, that concludes my report.
Sound like you're going to be busy. Thank you, Councilmember Michaud. Councilmember Core.
Thank you, Council President. I serve on 4 various regional committees, and I don't have any updates since we haven't met since the last time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lummer.
Thank you, Council President. I serve on 2 regional committees, and we have not had our June meetings yet. So,
thank you. Councilmember Troutner.
Thank you, Council President. I am chair of the Economic and Community Development Committee. We did not meet last month, but we do have a meeting next Monday, June 13th at 4 p.m., so hopefully you can join us here in council chambers or you can watch it online. I am also vice chair of the Regional Transit Committee along with King County Council member Dave Upthegrove, who is the chair. I had the pleasure of actually chairing the last meeting on May 18th. We voted to approve the Metro Connects implementation report, which included a description of the funding needs for Metro. There is new revenue expected. As we've talked about here, sales tax revenue is higher than usual. There's also one-time funding through the coronavirus response and relief funds, and then also the Move Ahead Washington, which is the recently adopted transportation investment program. But this is not going to be enough. So there will be a strategy to develop a plan and other talks about potential funding sources and how Metro will be funded in the future. Our next meeting is June 15th, where we will talk about revising the youth rates and making those fares to 0. So it will be a very interesting conversation, and that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Troutner. Councilmember Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I have nothing to report either, except one important change, and that is on June 15th, next, a week from tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. will be our regular meeting, but it'll be live at Station 74. That's the one basically at the end of 256, if you're familiar with that. So if you have any questions, call 253-856-4300, and they'll put you in touch with what's going on there. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Last but not least, Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you, Council President. So Public Works, I chair Public Works, and we had a report on our surface water design manual. They have to update that, required by law, and that is coming along nicely. We also had a report on a King County flood control grant that we hope to win, and there is no match for that grant. Fortunately, there are short dollars and lots of applicants, but we have hope for that. We also have, I'll mention it again, the summer art exhibit is tomorrow, 6:30 to 8 p.m. over in Centennial Building. The King Conservation District meets next Tuesday of next week, and so I won't have a report on that until the next meeting. And Mid will have 2 meetings this month. We meet this coming Thursday for our regular meeting. We're having a combination May-June meeting. And then on the 23rd, we are having our part 2 of our behavioral health equity training. And it's part 2 because we had part 1 this past month. And it was an excellent training. It talked about a number of the different indicators. It looked at things like race. It looked at socioeconomic status, all different types of things, looking at behavioral health and how that relates to equity throughout the health system. And now and historically, looking at what the short and long-term impacts have been and continue to be. So it's a really good training, really in-depth, and focusing, like I said, on health, on the behavioral health. So I will mention one more thing about Public Works. Because of the holidays, we have the Juneteenth holiday, and we also have the 4th of July, Independence Day. We will not have another Public Works meeting until Monday, the 18th of July. That is it.
Thank you, Councilmember Fincher. Madam Mayor, that ends our report.
All right. Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Council, for all of that good information. We will move on in the agenda to item number 6, public hearing. We do not have one this evening. Item number 7 is public comment. So this is the opportunity for the public to come and speak to the council and mayor on issues that relate to the business of the city. Or to items that are on the agenda at this council meeting. Comments that do not relate to the business of the city are prohibited, and I do want to remind everyone that the state of Washington prohibits people from using public comment to support or oppose ballot measures or candidates for office. We do have a 3-minute timer that will show up on the screen. When you come up, if you could please state your name and city of residence for the record, that would be appreciated. Kim, can you call our speakers?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 2 people signed up to speak tonight, Perry Sobolik and TJ Peterson.
Perry Sobolik, resident here in Kent for 25 years. Watch your timer, Bill. I timed this thing. Like, it's 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Don't gong me out, okay? Please. First of all, your proclamation about gun violence, Mayor, yes, thank you very much. As Andrea, you were part of that thing. I'm going to dovetail those little things that I handed out to you today with something that happened to me in my neighborhood just a few days ago. Sunday night, a drive-by shooting occurred 100 feet from my driveway. Thankfully, no one was killed or injured. Kent police arrived within minutes, and my neighbor was able to provide them with home security camera footage. So that was a good thing, okay? The neighborhood, however, is in shock and disbelief again. We had a similar kind of drive-by shooting at the other end of the street about a year ago, okay? The object of this apparently unprovoked attack was a houseless person living in their vehicle. Now you're going to see where these are going to dovetail together a little bit. Okay, if this denizen in the streets had been housed in a secure shelter or safe tiny house village, would this dangerous attack have occurred? Most likely not, because they would have been safer. This crime was made possible by the fact that a citizen of our city was forced to live on the street in a residential neighborhood because Kent has not provided reasonable alternatives to homelessness. This woeful condition puts every residential neighborhood in jeopardy. There shouldn't be bullets flying around at homeless people next to my house, okay? This city does not provide a safe shelter space operated as a municipally funded entity. This city does not underwrite a mental health facility. This city does not even provide a hygiene center where the homeless can protect their health and retain their personal dignity. Okay, we have failed our most vulnerable residents while delaying action on measures that could help to mitigate some of these problems and make us all of us, more safe and secure. Every member of this council took a sworn oath to act responsibly on behalf of every Kent citizen. You swore to protect and serve your community, the whole community. And that includes me, my wife, my children, and that man who got who was targeted by this drive-by shooting, okay? So a few weeks ago, now this is a little bit off track, but it goes back to the homelessness thing. A few weeks ago, a woman who identified herself as representing the Wildberry housing development stated that she opposed the tiny house village at St. James Church as being too potentially impactful on her $1 million houses and her neighborhood. It might affect her property value. I've been there. Good luck at getting $1 million for any of the houses on that block, believe me. I mean, it's not going to happen. Ever. But here's and think not only that, but that neighborhood is nearly a mile away from the church. The NIMBYism, and we all know what I'm referring to here is not in my backyard stuff, should not be the heaviest influence on your decision making.
I need you to wrap up time.
The health and safety of every citizen. I got 2 more sentences here. Should be your greatest concern, including that of the man who was targeted, okay? Mayo, you and I had a really great conversation about this. I want to thank you for your time on that. That was excellent. So, we've got a lot of commercial apartment development going on in this town, what's going to happen with all that income, that property tax income? I can tell you some homeless people in this city.
I do need you to wrap up.
Yeah, okay, all right, well, here you go. So my last comment here.
The timer is up.
My neighbors, this isn't the Gong Show, okay? My neighbors at Watson Manor next door recently moved 7 new families, including 10 children, into that facility, okay?
I'm going to ask.
I was 50 feet from where this.
I'm going to ask one more time. I need you the time is run. We have
I know.
3-minute time.
Don't they deserve a home environment that's safe? Please do something about this stuff, you know? Try to get, if this person hadn't had to be living on the street,
I need you to stop at this point.
And my family and everybody, it's going to happen to any one of your neighborhoods, any one of them.
Next speaker is TJ Peterson.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, Mayor, Council President, councilors. I want to talk about our broken culture. Oh, City of Kent. I am not an elitist. I don't live in $1 million home. I live in a 500 square foot apartment in the valley in the same part of the city that really doesn't matter as my neighbor Perry. These kinds of crimes don't happen up on Scenic Hill, or the View properties or the country clubs. Our broken culture. You guys bend over backwards for businesses. I just heard a presentation talking about tax increment financing. All you have to do is Google tax increment financing, the downsides. It's a slush fund from the future. Pull taxes from the future to give to business development. We have the highest eviction rate in the county. We have homeless people that don't have a safe place to go. We seem to be talking past each other. Why is that? So I've thought about it, and it's our broken culture. American culture. If somebody comes from another country and asks any of you up there and goes, tell us about American culture in a couple of sentences. Well, the American culture is a business culture. Business is important. Serve the purposes of business salvation, the gospel of free enterprise. There was a gentleman named James Fifield, minister of the First Congregational Church of Los Angeles in 1940. National Association of Manufacturers. They were pushing against FDR when he talked about helping people and held the robber barons accountable. Their little saying behind closed doors was, love God and forget your neighbor. Oh, and by the way, God is property. You question economics, you question business. It's almost like walking into a church and saying there is no God. Matthew said it the best, you can't serve 2 masters. You can't serve God and mammon. Mammon, you can write this down, M-A-M-M-O-N, mammon. To love one is to detest the other. Maybe we're talking past each other because we don't have the same values anymore. The mayor, the council, businesses love talking about, how can their help, PPE money, grants, zoning for the businesses, lickety-split. People need housing. We have high eviction rates. Crickets. The governor just talked about money to be spent with the Regional Housing Authority. He talked about the 38 cities that are not doing anything and helping the process. I'm going to reach out here. I heard a comment from the Sound Cities Association. There's a part in there, it's a little phrase, assume everybody is acting in good faith. You know what? Sometimes I don't think that everybody is acting in good faith. We're talking past each other. Are we going to help people? Are we going to help businesses? The prosperity gospel. One nation under God. How Corporate America Invented Christianity by Kevin Cruz, professor at Princeton.
I need you to wrap up, please.
There's a real simple word, our culture. This is the question. Describe American culture in a couple of sentences. It's broken. I don't think anybody can do it.
Thank you.
That was our last speaker, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Kim. We will move on to the consent calendar, which is a compilation of work that the council has done over the last several weeks at committee meetings. They've received presentations and had discussion, conversation, and these items have moved out of committee without controversy. We have items A through H. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item A through H.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Item number 9 is other business. We do not have any this evening. Item number 10 is bids. We've got one bid for the Kerason Park redevelopment, and joining us this evening is Terry Youngman.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council President, Council members. Thanks for having me. Sorry for the repeat presentation, but I wanted to show again what we talked about last week at the Parks Committee, which is an update on the Kerason Park project. We're really excited about this project. There's a lot of really cool things that we're going to be building in this park, and we just thought as we're bringing this bid award forward that we would give a reminder of all the things that are included in the project. So just as a quick reminder, we had an event back in November of 2019, which was a STEM event festival held at the Showware Center. It was an incredibly successful event. We had over 1,000 attendees at that. We partnered with school districts. We partnered with business in the Valley to make this event possible. These are just a couple of pictures where we showcase the Lunar rover replica and the astronaut. There's some kids playing on it. It was just really a fun event to kind of get a preview into what the park would eventually be, which is a place for kids to learn about Kent's history of innovation in aerospace and to imagine themselves in these positions. So I wanted to highlight that event leading into the design of the park. Let's see if this thing's going to work again. Okay, great. So this is overall site plan for Kerason Park. I'll point out a few elements. We've got kind of a campus of play that's located up here. This is going to be our lunar lander play structure, the mission control piece. Our lunar rover replica and astronaut will be here with a mural wall. We'll look at these in a little bit more detail in a second, but I just want to orient everybody to the site. A little bit of day use area here and here, open lawn space, and then this is the wall in which we're going to be projecting on, and a projector located here. So that just kind of gives you a sense of the overall site. This is a perspective view looking north and west into the site. You can see the backdrop for the lunar rover replica here, and then the lunar rover replica and astronauts located here and here, and then there's the lunar lander play structure. So the lunar lander play structure, if you'll recall, this is an item that we were working directly with Northwest Playground as an affiliate to Create Play. Create Play is a company who does custom play structures. They're actually the same manufacturer who did the lunar rover and the astronaut, so there's consistency to all the play elements that are being installed on site. It's got a slide off the front there. The other thing I think that's really interesting about this lunar lander, while it's not a replica, because the scale wouldn't be appropriate for the site, the choice of materials, the colors, all these things were really finely researched as they were putting together the design documents for this structure, and it's actually really, really close to what the final lunar lander actually looked like. So that's kind of an important detail that gives a sense of realism when you're in the park, that everything kind of looks and functions as you would think it would, while still being playful. A view from the backside here with the ladder up and into the structure. Then on the right-hand side there, that's a picture inside of the lunar lander structure. You know, you can imagine kids being inside and imagining themselves being a pilot for this piece of equipment and all the kind of gadgets and doodads on the front. It's just a panel that has stickers. It's not an actual a bunch of knobs and buttons, but rather just something that they can imagine themselves using. This is the mission control piece. There's actually a connection between the lunar lander and the mission control where kids are going to be able to talk to one another. So you can imagine a kid standing at mission control speaking into a device will be communicating to another kid who's playing inside of the lunar lander. So it's kind of a cool detail element that was built in here. But the mission control also has some interactive game pieces to it. The dots that you see there on the bottom here, this is actually going to be the game Simon, if you remember the game Simon, where it's a color and sound recognition and patterning, so kids will be able to play Simon on this mission control piece. But there's also some realism elements to it. There on the left-hand side, you can see some images of the landing on the moon and things like that. So that's the mission control piece. Here you see, this is the west-facing view of the park. We've got the existing gravel lot all that vegetation is going to go away. We're going to be building a screen wall. It's going to be a polycarbonate screen wall. It's the same stuff that Sound Transit uses in all their facilities. So it's highly, it's gone through the rigors of vandalism and being as resilient as it can to those types of high uses. So we're going to have the backdrop there where the lunar rover replica and the astronaut will sit. This is just a little bit more of a detailed view. Cool detail. It's taken us a lot of time to land on an image that's going to be part of that polycarbonate wall. I'm just going to kind of read the details of this. One of the staff on our team has really gotten into researching this and trying to find the best still photography that they can. The picture that we're going to be showing on this wall is actually actual imagery that was taken from the lunar lander mission that had a Washington resident. So it has a special significance in that there was a Washington resident who was on that mission where that still imagery was taken. And the rover that was on that mission is the one that ours is modeled after. So there's a real significance to that. We are actually working with the current crew chief for the Mars Lunar Rover to get this imagery. He's doing a lot of this research for us and going through the files and finding the best images that he can, which has been a really cool process and really gracious with his time to help us through this. He's nerding out on it just as much as we are. All of these images are public record and are stitched together. We'll stitch together the moonscape backdrop that will be sitting there in the back behind the lunar rover replica and the astronaut. So really cool detail, and we wanted to be as accurate as we possibly could with that while still giving a sense of play for kids who are going to be using it. Another thing that we're really excited about, the Rain Hair Salon building has a big blank wall that faces the park. And rather than turning away from that wall, we wanted to find a way to incorporate it into the design of the park. And so that's how we came up with the idea of putting projection onto that wall using a piece of projector equipment. We've got actually a video to share. There was a video in the previous presentation, but it's not in this one. Anyways, it's fine. We took a video actually on site, and y'all saw it at the presentation last week, and the clarity of the image on that wall, it's an unfinished wall, it's just painted, was remarkable. I couldn't believe how clear the picture came through. So just imagining being on that lawn and seeing a movie in the park, or we're working with Rhonda Billerbeck, who's working with the Arts Commission to come up with an ongoing arts program. So it'd be a graphic art program that we projected on that wall in the evenings. The possibilities are endless whenever you're dealing with a projector because it's really a matter of what you program into it. So really excited about that idea that we're going to be able to project on that wall. Let's get to the punchline here. So in terms of the budget and bidding process, the engineer's estimate for this project was $950,000 to $1.15 million. The bid summary they got back, we got 3 bids. Green Tech Excavation was the low bid, apparent low bid contractor who we're bringing forward tonight at $1.6 million. The next 2 bids were LW Sunstrom at $1.76 and A1 Landscaping and Construction at just over $2 million. Obviously, these are higher than the engineer's estimate. What are the factors that drive some of that escalation in cost? We're experiencing the highest inflation that we have in 31 years. This is sort of an unprecedented time for inflation. Material costs have increased 15 to 26% just in the last 24 months. It's a ripple effect of the pandemic. Fuel costs are the highest they've ever been. That has a major impact on the construction industry. This project was bid during a concrete strike that carried through into the pricing. There's supply chain challenges that are stemming from COVID still, as everything is taking longer to move through the process and taking more time. We're in an urban site location. It's highly constrained. There's no parking for a contractor, so you automatically get an escalation in price when you're dealing with a downtown urban space, and COVID-19 affects pricing in so many ways that we don't fully comprehend yet. For reference, this low bid was 25% over the engineer's estimate. The highest bid, so that third bidder, was 40% over. So relative to what the market could have done, we feel pretty good about where the costs have landed with this. The base bid for this includes a $75,000 line item for small changes. This is basically an allowance for us to deal with unforeseen conditions that happen on site. And so we've even built into that $1.6 million number, $75,000 to deal with some of those changes in the early phases of the project. And then as a point of reference, our consultant team, they've bid projects recently and just kind of gave us a snapshot summary of what they were experiencing on other projects in other cities. 4 of those projects were over anywhere between 10 and 40%, 47% over their engineer's estimate. In our experience over the last few years, we've actually had pretty good fortune with the projects that we bid. Chestnut Ridge was under budget. Salter Vista was right at budget. We just brought that one forward for council award. West Fenwick was right at budget. So we've been really close on all of our engineers' estimates up to this point. I think just the market conditions are really driving this one up. And I think we're going to see this as a common thread on construction projects that are coming forward, not just parks related, but perhaps public works related and otherwise. And so I think this is going to be part of a trend as we're experiencing some real implications in our economy right now. We have gone through and checked the references on this apparent low bidder. Everything was very positive. They actually had quite a bit of experience with projects in downtown Seattle, which was a really good sign that they know how to work in an urban space. And we talked to their project managers, and they had nothing but positive things to say. So all signs point to us moving forward with this bid, but we just wanted to come and provide a little bit more context on what this dollar amount actually buys for the park and all the research that went into it. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, thank you, Terry. Council President Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, this is going to be a phenomenal project. But what jumps in my heart right away is just the possibility of vandalism. I mean, how are we going to be able to make sure that park stays secure and safe? I mean, it looked like an opportunity for a lot of people, which would be so sad.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and it's something we were constantly grappling with through the design phase of this project. We have contracted with a company, Northwest Playground and Create Play, who design these types of elements in public urban spaces all the time. And so we are hammering them on building things that are going to be resilient and vandal-proof to the extent possible, or parts that are easily replaced if they were to get damaged. So all that's really being built into the design of the project. The other thing I would say is that park is pretty dark today. There's actually a pretty significant lighting package that's coming with this project, and we're going to see that park lit up like you've never seen before. So I think that's really going to help with the sort of patrolling of that space and making sure that there's no, nuisance type activity that's going on after hours. I think that's going to be one of the more helpful things.
So have we thought about cameras and stuff like that,
that's one of those things that's more of I think if there's real persistent issues there, you would perhaps respond with that sort of thing. I don't think we would be proactively installing those in the park.
Thank you. What a great project. Thank you.
Councilmember Larmer.
Similar question about the security, but specific to the projection equipment. Mm-hmm. And then also what's included in the contract. I think we've all been to parks in other cities and jurisdictions where, 5 years later, the Simon Says thing doesn't work. Like what is the long range plan on that?
So let me answer the question about the projection equipment first. This thing is going to be on a steel pole, so 10 feet in the air, actually 12 feet in the air on a steel pole in a steel box.
Okay.
So it's going to be locked away where no one can get to it. In fact, the only way you can really get to it is you would have to basically torch weld that steel box open in order to get to it. So we definitely thought about that in our design process and wanted to make it as resilient as possible. Second part of your question, repeat it again.
The play equipment and the long-term maintenance of that.
We have a great relationship with Northwest Playground, I think is really the answer to that. All the equipment comes with a full 1-year warranty. So anything that happens within the first year, we would be going back to them if it's related to the construction of it. If it's vandalism or something like that, that's outside of their control. But because we have such a good relationship with Northwest Play and with Create Play at this point, they know that we're going to want to have those replacement parts on call and ready to be sent if we ever need to do those sorts of things. And in fact, as these pieces have come over, they've come with sort of the things that we think are going to break most readily or perhaps be stolen or whatever the case may be. So we have spares already on hand to deal with these types of things. But having that good relationship gives us the resource to draw upon if things happen in the future.
Right, thank you.
We should grease that pole every night.
That's your job.
Okay.
on your way home at night, you can swing by.
I was happy to do so.
That is probably one of the most random comments that I have heard at a council meeting.
I'm sorry.
I think it's unfortunate that that's the reality of the conversation that we need to be having. So I am grateful for the amount of thought that Parks Department has put into these things because it is the unfortunate reality of.
I don't want these problems to be a reason to not do great things.
Agreed.
I think we have to push through these things and continue to build great public spaces and when these things happen, be quick to respond and deal with it.
Yep.
My request is that you kept saying kids are going to come and play, and I feel like there's an opportunity maybe at lunchtime for random adults to go over and play Simon Says. So, Councilmember Michaud.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. Unfortunately, Terry says adults can't really fit into the lander thing.
Well, what about the console? We can walk up to that and play, right?
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. I appreciate it. I'm super excited about this park. It is going to do great things for downtown, so thank you.
Yeah. All right, any other questions? Okay, a motion would be in order.
Who got the motion? Go ahead, Brenda. Brenda, go ahead.
All right.
Wait a minute.
There we go. Parks chair.
So sorry, I'm falling down on the job.
I thought they know. I was going to tell you to read it.
Councilmember Finch, if you've got it
There you go.
available.
This is the motion language here.
Okay.
I got it. I got it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right.
Whew. All right.
Sorry about that.
Madam Mayor, I move to award the Kerason Park redevelopment project to Green Tech Excavation Incorporated in the amount of $1,627,278, including Washington state sales tax, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the city attorney and parks director.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. That brings us down to item number 11, which is executive session that we have added this evening. Council will go into executive session and there will be no action when we resume. And at this point, if everyone not related to this executive session could clear the chambers, that would be appreciated. Good evening. Council has resumed after a very lengthy executive session this evening. We do not have any additional action on the agenda. So with that, I want to say go T-Birds. We have another game tomorrow night. We're in it to win this, and have a wonderful week. We are adjourned.
Warriors came through.